What do you think? Medvedev versus Kyrgios. Did Kyrgios do enough today to keep you a believer in Nick? Did he do enough for you? He certainly thinks he did. If you listen to the press conference, he's super proud of the way he played. He played great. He played good. No one's here to say that Nick is not a talented player. But at the end of the day, what I think that Nick Kyrgios and his fans need to start realizing is, because like, I always show up. I always show up. That's one thing. Whether I train or not, I always show up for the big matches. That's why people like me. It's like, Nick, everybody shows up on the tour. There's no easy matches. Yes, was that a better than average match? Absolutely. But at the end of the day, you're 115 and you lost in the second round. Okay, I'm just gonna say it like it is. He's number 115. He lost the second round. It was a four-setter. The fourth set, the score was 6-2. Okay, experienced players like Daniil Medvedev are used to that. Did you see Medvedev's reaction after the match? He's like, easy work. He gave the crowd like, easy work. Okay, this is what I do. Your boy, yeah, he's got some skills. Yeah, he can give us some thrills. But at the end of the day, it wasn't close to beating me. It was a great warm-up match. Nick, all you did was do a great warm-up match. Tennis Paris Bros. Now look at this. Now look, I love Tennis Paris Bros, by the way. Go check out their YouTube channel. They do a great job. And this is kind of cool. Watch this. I commented for the full match. Was extremely tiring, but was so epic to watch. The third set was incredible from Kyrgios. I mean, yeah, that's what keeps people coming back to tune in for Nick, is that he can deliver some incredible, entertaining tennis. But what he's not getting is, if you don't win one of these things, or, really start to win consistently, you keep losing first and second round. You're not on the tour anymore. You're not even getting to entertain people. And so that's what I'm worried for Nick, is that he doesn't seem to get it. If you watch his presser, he was super proud of himself. And they're like, what's your plan going forward? Do you think, you're going to be building it? Oh, I don't have any plan. Oh, yeah, I don't have a plan, bro. I'm just going to, enjoy this with my team. Enjoy this with my team. Hang out with my team. Yeah. Oh, I've got no plans. That's how I do it. Like, yeah, okay. You're going to keep no plan in yourself right off the pro tour. Okay. Medvedev, on the other hand, look at this. That was a pleasant surprise from Kyrgios. Too bad he has such bad habits. Yeah, I mean, it wasn't a pleasant surprise. Nick does show up for big matches. But you know what? He's not winning the big match. When was the last time Nick won a big match where he's against the top 10 player and he won? When was the last time? Nick Kyrgios fans, tell me when the last time your boy won against a top 10er and won. I'm not saying showed up and played a decent match, decent little sparring match. When did he win? It's been a while, okay? So Nick has got to start winning some matches. Here we go. If you guys don't know how this works, if you put your comments down in the comment section, I will put them up here on the screen and we will talk about it if you leave a really good comment. So here we go. This is Medvedev looks unbeatable right now on hard courts. Will need a Herculean effort to knock him off. That was one thing Kyrgios did say after the match. It's like he thinks he's playing the best tennis in the world right now, that he shows up each and every point. And that you feel that when you're playing an opponent who's there each and every point, it's exhausting. And at some point, there's a breaking point. And the fourth set was Nick's breaking point, 6-2. Medvedev shows easy work, easy work. And so, yeah, Medvedev is looking great. I'm liking Medvedev more and more. In the beginning, when he came on the tour, I wasn't the biggest fan, but the more I see him, especially in press conferences, I like him. I like how did you see, like, they're all yelling that Sue thing, which, I could take or not take. I understand they're not booing, but it is kind of annoying. And he was saying they didn't like that they were doing that in between his first and his second serve. And then they started to do it even more when he started talking. He kept saying, I can't hear the great Jim Courier. And he said, guys, if you don't have respect for me, at least have respect for Jim. I like that. He goes, Jim won here. I like Medvedev. I'm starting to really like him. His little oddities. He's a little oddball, right? I mean, like they're both big personalities in different ways. Like Nick is like the cool kid. Like everybody wants to hang out with Nick and be his buddy, and he's so cool. He's too cool for school, Mr. Popular. And then Medvedev is like this, just he's kind of weird. He's kind of an oddball, but he's pretty entertaining and he's pretty offbeat and funny. I like him. Rafa is not sliding on the hard court anymore. Okay. He's looking good though. With more training and mentality, he could beat him. Okay, where's the training going to come from? See, that's the problem. Nick after the match says, oh, well, that's why everybody likes to come watch me. I get millions of views because whether I'm training or not, I show up for the big matches. Yeah, you show up and you lose. You show up and you lose, Nick. You're not winning these matches. And the more you keep showing up and losing, you're so close to being out of the top 130 in the world. You need to be top 20, 120, 128-ish to get into all the majors. And there's lots of other tournaments where you need to actually be in the top 100, right? You got a lot of 60 round of 64 draws. You're not making these tournaments, buddy. You're so close to being on the qualifying circuit, and you don't even realize it. It's crazy to me. It's crazy that he doesn't realize how close he is to being off the tour. Okay, so we're getting lots of Rafa comments. Do I think Rafa has the game and the fitness to beat Sasha and Medvedev right now? Well, yes, because you can never count out Rafa, because we know that Rafa, to come back on the tour, is training. He is planning. He does know where his game is at. He's fit. He looks like he's hitting the ball great. Now, certainly could Medvedev beat Rafa right now? Absolutely. Medvedev could beat anybody in the world just like Zverev could beat anybody in the world, and they're taking their game seriously. That's why they are where they are, and Nick is where he is. Let's see. Because Nick doesn't take his game seriously, even though he's just as talented as these players. But these guys are working. They are planning. They do set goals. They do take themselves seriously. They plan ahead. I'm all about living in the moment, having fun. I think that that's a beautiful thing that Nick likes to say. But at the same time, if you want to plan the tour and make money consistently, you need to work hard on a day in and day out basis. You need to start setting some goals. You can't say to the press, you have no idea when your next tournament is. You'll just play when you feel like it. Someday you're not going to be able to play when you feel like it. You're going to try and get the tournament. They're going to go, well, Nick, did you understand that you're ranked 220 in the world right now? You can't play in our tournament? Think Zverev and Medvedev true final. Too good. Can't wait. Zverev, Nadal, and tomorrow Berrettini, Alcaraz. Berrettini, Alcaraz. Now that's going to be a great match. That's going to be a great match. B2 thinks so too. B2 wants to come and say hello to everybody. This is my buddy B2. And B2 is still a Nick Kyrgios fan. He loves the way that Nick says, bruh, hey, bruh. Nick, he's a fanboy. Okay. B2 is always going to be down for watching Kyrgios play. He slips on the banana peel every single time and will watch Nick till the bitter end, even when he's playing on the senior circuit. So B2 is a fan. I used to be a fan of Nick. I like some of the things that Nick says still, but I'm just tired of seeing Nick, lose matches and then think that it's all good. Thinks it's all good. Love the Nick voice, LOL. Thank you. Thank you, Big Trades Tennis. Your view on Tsitsipas winning the Australian Open. I think Tsitsipas has a little bit more question marks than a Zverev, than a Medvedev, than a Nadal. I think Nadal's already shown me that he is back in really good form. He's got a really tough match against Kachanov. That could be an upset. But Tsitsipas looked very good so far. And we know that, again, he's another person who works very hard on his game. And it's just a matter of him finding his confidence. So if Tsitsipas can find his confidence, he has the potential to beat anybody on the tour. I mean, he certainly could go all the way. But I think right now, the big three to me in this tournament are Medvedev, and you maybe have to view him as the favorite, and then Zverev, and then Nadal. And, any of those three could win it. And then I guess, you'd have to go Tsitsipas next. What is my dream final for the Australian Open? Well, if I'm not even looking at the draw, a dream final for me, okay, if they are on opposite sides of the draw, and they actually might be, a dream final for me would be Medvedev versus Nadal. I would like to see that. That's more entertaining to me than Medvedev and Zverev. I think Zverev deserves to get there, but he doesn't excite me so much. So I would like to see Nadal versus Medvedev. I have mixed emotions. I'd like to see Medvedev keep winning and start to rack up his own personal records. But it would be really kind of cool to see Nadal lay claim to the GOAT and get 21. And then you go into France, and there's a good chance you could just pencil him in there, and he's got 22. Now all of a sudden he becomes clear GOAT. And so I would like to see that. Could you say the same thing about Sloane Stephens that you say about Nick? I don't know Sloane enough because I don't know. I wouldn't say you can say the same thing. I think that Sloane underachieves. I don't know her work ethic. She doesn't say the same things that Nick says. I mean, Nick is just always saying, I'm so happy with my performance. I'm so proud of myself after coming off and losing. And then you ask him about his plans for the rest of the year. He's like, oh, I got no plans, bro. I got no plans, mate. I'll just take it one. Just going to have a good time and vibe. That's my plan. I'll play when I feel like it. Like, no, that's not going to work, Nick. That doesn't work. It's not working for you. You keep thinking it's working for you because when you do show up and play, yes, the fans are so hungry for a star, and he is a star. Make no mistake, Nick is a star. The fans are so hungry for a star, for a personality, that they'll take him losing first or second round because they're like, it's better than nothing. And maybe he'll surprise us and win, but he's just fooling the fans and he's fooling himself. To me, he's becoming like Conor McGregor. Okay. But at least Conor McGregor was at one point a champion. I'm not a big fan of MMA. I think it's kind of gross to see those guys down there. It's like, that looks like the ultimate nightmare to me. But Conor McGregor was at least a champion. But what he does is he loves to talk a big game. He has this big bravado attitude, and he's so great all the time. And yet he's getting his butt kicked every time he goes in the ring lately. And that's what's happening to Nick. Nick thinks he did a great thing today by going 4 sets. And yes, of course, it's great to go 4 sets against the number 1 player in the world. But here's a newsflash for you, Nick. Novak Djokovic, in his most dominant years on the tour, when he barely lost a match, only won 55% of his points. Tennis is a game of thin margins, okay? It's a game of thin margins. It's not a game of blowouts. There's very few blowouts out there. And so if you're losing 6-2 in the 4th set in the second round, you didn't have a good tournament. And Medvedev's not really going to look back at this match and go, oh my God, that was one of the most important matches of my life. He's going to go, yeah, Nick is talented, and I took care of business, and I just wiped them off, and I'm ready to go to the next round. That's what you ultimately did in this tournament, despite all the, way you build up everything and how much the fans got excited. Nick is onto something. He said one thing that I think my buddy Barkley will agree with that I like. But every time I take Barkley off the screen, he starts to growl at me. I don't know if you can hear him in the background. But he said one thing that I think was very true. He's like, the game has got to change. They got to accept more cheering from the fans, even if it's disrupting a point. They got to have more personalities. That's why they like to watch me play. That's what Nick said. And that's true. And that's why I wish he would just take himself more seriously so he could see more of him and him perform at a higher level. But you know what? He's not doing that. So he's just a second round loser to me. That's what I think. Let's see here. Nick just plainly makes bad decisions. He has never been disciplined enough to make the right decisions at the important moments. Example, coming on net set point with a weak approach shot. Yeah. He lacks discipline in all parts of his game. That's why he loses. Medvedev is a true savage by not giving any reaction to the crowd. Yeah, I mean, Medvedev is classic. I'm liking him more and more. Do you feel Medvedev has the best serve return right now on the hard courts? Yeah, the serve is a big bomb, especially his first serve. He bombs that thing in, and his return to serve is tough. He stands way back there, and he just figures out a way to get in the points. Yes, you were right about 4 sets, Medvedev win. Yes, guys, go watch my last video. I called it. I said there's very little chance that Nick is going to win this match because Medvedev has so many options. He could win in 3 sets against Nick because maybe Nick just doesn't show up. He could win in 4 sets against Nick, which I thought was going to be most likely. Or he could win in 5 sets against Nick. Any of those would be fine for him, and he'd move on to the next round. Nick's only option was to play out of his mind and be focused for 5 sets and beat Medvedev, because Medvedev would, just like Nick gives him credit for, Medvedev ain't going away. So Medvedev's not going to go away in these matches, and you never know what you're going to get with Nick, except for, I'll show up for big matches, bro. That's what I do. You show up. You compete. Congratulations. Everybody on the tour competes, Nick. You have to win to stay on the tour. And you're so close from being out the back door, and you don't even see it. So you better start planning. You better start training. You better start setting some goals. You better start knowing what your tournament schedule is going to be. That's the only way you're going to stay on the tour. That's the only way you're going to stay on the tour. Interesting to see the narrative about Medvedev's reaction at the end of match point. Lots of praise and credit to Med. Commentators using it as praise of his character. If that was Nole, that's right. I mean, Nole gets a lot of hate. A lot of hate. I agree. But Medvedev's played the bad guy a bunch too. I mean, Medvedev against Djokovic at the U.S. Open. Remember, they were rooting for Djokovic. Medvedev does. I mean, he does good interviews, and he's respectful in the interviews. But when he's out there on the court, he doesn't care if you're rooting for him and against him. And if you're rooting against him, he takes on that Reggie Miller persona. He's like, I like it. Bring it on. He understands the theater of the game, and he likes it where they're cheering for him. He'll play up the crowd if they're cheering for him, and if they're going against him, he'll use that and he'll play the crowd as well. And so, that's good that Medvedev is on the tour right now. Do you think Novak should keep his ego aside so he can go and play future Grand Slams? Well, I mean, that's a whole other can of worms. But it does just seem, whether you agree with it or not, in order to play the Grand Slams this year, you're going to have to get vaccinated. In the beginning, when this all was going down, the French Open said, we're going to have Novak come whether he's vaccinated or not. And then when everything ultimately unfolded in Australia, they went back on that, and they made a rule, a sportsman's rule, that all sports athletes have to be vaccinated in order to come play. So it looks like if he's going to play the French, he's got to get vaccinated. Or he's going to give another wide open chance to Nadal to possibly have 21 or 22, depending on how the Australian Open goes. I'm sure Wimbledon's going to be the same thing. Who knows what's going to happen at the U.S. Open? But he's definitely taking shots at titles away by making his stance. Now, maybe that's worth it to him. I don't know. But it certainly is affecting the history of the game, because if Novak was in this tournament, he'd be the favorite. He'd be the favorite until he lost. Because why? He wins it every year. So he has to be the favorite, no matter how great Medvedev is playing, no matter how great Zverev is playing, Tsitsipas, Nadal. I mean, Djokovic would have been the favorite until you beat him. Okay, Nick will be a Mansour Barami of his generation. That's right. I said that in my last broadcast. I said, Nick is like Mansour Barami. Yeah, he's entertaining. He's fun to watch. Although he's much more a bigger name. Barami really built his reputation after tennis, after his career on the tour as being an entertainer. as being a sideshow before the main event. Nick is definitely more talented and even bigger personality. So he's become big on the tour, but you're right. He's turning into kind of like just a sideshow, just something you see before the main event. And the main event becomes quarterfinals, semifinals, finals. And he's a long afterthought. You know, you enjoyed this match today. You're not remembering this match next week. You're not remembering this match next year. This is just another notch in Medvedev's belt to go to the next round and a good little sparring match. If Medvedev loses, how does he lose? I don't know. I mean, that's a great question. How would Medvedev lose? Because when he's playing like he's playing, he looks unbeatable. He looks unbeatable when he's right now. I mean, it becomes hard to figure out, how does this guy lose points? How does he lose points? He's just all over the place. He gets every ball back, and he can hit winners. He's got the drop shot. He finishes well at the net. His serve is huge. It maybe at times looks a little weird, a little funky, but where do you beat him? I don't know. It's tough. It's tough. Prediction of Rafa, Khachanov, Berrettini, Alcaraz. Okay, let's get into these predictions, and then we're going to take off here. Thank you guys for being on. Prediction for Rafa, Khachanov. Well, first of all, one prediction is, if Rafa gets through this in 3, or kind of like the way Medvedev got through his match today in 4 sets, being tested a bit, but pretty much in control. If it turns out to be like that, that's going to be a big boost to Rafa. Rafa is going to get even more confident because Khachanov will challenge him at some point physically and mentally in the match because he's a tough competitor and he matches up well against Rafa. They had an incredible match at the U.S. Open a couple years ago. So if Rafa handles him fairly easily, watch out. Rafa is for real in this tournament. Khachanov has an outside puncher's chance to win. If Rafa's a little off, if Khachanov plays out of his mind, he could steal this match from Rafa, but I don't see it happening. So I see Rafa getting through. Berrettini, Alcaraz. Wow, this is a great one because Berrettini's playing well. Alcaraz seems to get stronger and stronger each and every match. I'm going to go with Alcaraz for the upset because I think he's stronger off both wings, and I feel like his confidence is riding really high. I feel Berrettini's confidence is riding high too, and he's got the big serve, the humongous forehand. But I think the X factor is if Alcaraz can get to his backhand, if he can get to the Berrettini backhand, he can start to have the advantage there. Berrettini's going to have to serve amazing. He's going to have to serve big, and he's going to have to have a high percentage of first serves to win. If he doesn't do that, if he misses too many first serves, I see Alcaraz winning this match. Nadal can beat him with his power. Well, Khachanov has power too. Does anyone care about Kyrgios if he didn't beat Nadal, Djokovic, and Federer? Nadal thrice, Federer once, and Djokovic twice. Yeah, and that was a long time ago. I mean, that's the thing. He's fooling us a little bit. That's why I get a little bit upset is we always build all this hype. I mean, of course he's in Australia, but if you see everybody following him around the practice courts, if you see the crowd that he's getting and building, if you see all the excitement, it's a little bit disappointing to know that he's just going to be out in the first or second round almost every time he plays lately. And I feel like we're all falling on the banana peel. He's like a great snake oil salesman lately. I mean, he talks a big game. He still plays a big game, but it's just a show. He's not really serious about winning. He's fine with this result. He's perfectly fine with this result. And one thing that he said that kind of, again, pisses me off is he says, tennis needs personalities. Tennis needs, all this excitement. If we don't have it, the sport is going to be gone. The sport's going to not, the sport's going to suffer. And so that's where I find it is your responsibility a little bit, Nick, because you are a draw. People love to watch you play. I love to watch you play, but I actually felt you could still win. I don't believe you can win anymore. And so it's doing the game a disservice. You talk about the game, like the game is something you like and that you want to move forward. But you're not moving the game forward as near as much as you could have if you keep winning. So you got to take the game more seriously, Nick. That's all I have to say. Okay, Any Pug Tennis says, I pick Alcaraz. Let's see here. As a coach, what would you tell Nick? Well, I tell Nick, you obviously like all the attention that you get. You like the money that you get. And if you want the money to keep coming, if you want the fame to keep coming, you got to start winning. So we need to start working harder. We need to start actually planning. You can't keep saying, I don't know where I'm going to be next week. I don't know. I have no idea. I'll just show up where I show up. The more he keeps doing that, all of a sudden he's 220 in the world. Like, it can literally happen that quick. Because if you're just winning a match, or if you're losing first and second round consistently at 115 in the world, and then other people get hot behind you, you're not 115 or 120 anymore. You're literally go to 140, 150, 160. So he's working himself off the tour. All right, so if you like this video, guys, like it up. I'll be back with more live streams later. And let me know what you think of Medvedev's chances to win the tournament and what you thought of Nick. Is Nick doing enough to stay on the tour and to stay in your hearts? We'll see you guys later.